Today, I'm going to be talking to you about my second part of the interview process for the YRDSB. So, like I said in the introduction, today I'm going to be talking to you about my YRDSB second half of the interview. If you want to watch the first interview, there will be a link in the description down below, and I'm sure there'll be an annotation somewhere up here, as long as I remember to put that in. But, let's get started. I do have a disclaimer. Due to the restrictions placed on what you can disclose and not disclose for interview processes for York Region, and I'm sure all the boards, I can't be too specific with what I'm about to tell you. I can't give you specific questions or anything like that, but I can guide you through what you should be aware of and what you should know prior to coming in for your second interview process. So, the interview consists of oral and written questions again. However, if you remember from the first video, I'm a French specialist, so my original interview was done in French. This one is done in English. It's the regular English interview. It's what the standard interview process is, probably all across Ontario, probably all across the entire world. It's literally them asking questions about what your teaching practices are, how you manage classrooms, all that kind of jazz. It's very, very specific just to the teaching profession. Nothing too crazy, nothing too wild in terms of the questions. For the first part of the interview, I had about 15 minutes to write a written question that was provided by me through email. I had to write it in Microsoft Word and then send it out to the whoever was my interviewer, and they were going to review that. So the question was, again, teacher question. It had something to do along the lines of managing your classroom and parents as well. So how would you essentially communicate with parents, with the kids in your class as well, and things like that. How that is necessary and beneficial to making sure that you have a proper classroom, a classroom that is in homeostasis, essentially. So that's the first half of the interview. That's a written component. It's going to be different for everyone, but again, it's based off of teaching things that you should know as a teacher. Second half of the interview is an oral interview. Now, obviously, it's going to be completely different when COVID is over, when this pandemic is coming to an end and we're back into regular society. Interviews will be happening face-to-face. They'll be totally different. But for now, since it is virtual, here's what you can expect if you are in a virtual interview. Number one, there are at least two interviewers. So you have one interviewer asking you one question and another interviewer who's scribing. So that brings me into number two. Everything you say is written down. It's really important that you are clear, concise, and you expand on your ideas. Because maybe you understand what you're saying and the interviewer understands what they're saying, but there's also a review board that goes along with interviewing. And that review board reads your transcript and they just take exactly what you've said and decides whether that was a good enough answer or an answer that maybe should have been refined more. So be concise, be clear, be specific, give examples. And that brings me to number three. So that you are clear, concise, specific, and you give examples, if you have a good interviewer, they will ask you to expand on your answers if they feel like maybe you should go a little bit further. So I'll give you an example. I think I was talking about, again, let's say communicating with parents and how effective that is. And maybe you've forgotten to leave out a real world example of how you've communicated with parents in the past and what kind of changes that has brought on, or how that has helped your classroom run a little bit better or smoother, anything like that. And again, if you forget to add that real world example, if you have a good interviewer, they will say, could you please expand on that? They won't be too specific. They won't just ask you outright, give me a real world example, but it'll give you a minute to maybe think about it, be like, I missed this. I could talk about that. Okay. And then go right into it. The final thing I want to mention to you is be relaxed. This is a pretty chill interview in terms of what you're going through. This is going to be the one that I feel like people are coming in with the most confidence, and you should be confident because even if you're a first-year teacher, even if you have no experience whatsoever, you should still understand all the things that they're asking you. It's nothing too crazy, nothing too complicated. It's literally things that you will work on as you become a more experienced teacher, and when you are becoming a teacher, when you're going through your teacher's college, or when you're just going in for your first or second year as a teacher. These are all things that you go through on a daily basis. All these questions classroom management, managing parents, your assessment strategies, how you plan curriculums. It's all things that you should already know about, and if you don't know, then you should really start kind of working your way and start figuring out how you're going to do these things so you can answer these questions. And I think the last thing I want to say is make sure you give hard, concrete, real-world examples, because those are going to be the things that drive your points home. As long as you can come up with a real-world example that actually applies directly to what the question was, then you should be golden, because that shows that you're able to, you're not just able to present them a theory of your practice, but you're also able to implement that practice, show that you can establish these, concrete things that you can do to manage a classroom, to talk to parents, to assess a student, to plan a curriculum, anything like that. Other than that, it was a very relaxed interview, very fun, had no real issues, and the last thing I do want to say is that I have been accepted into the YRDSB board. Woohoo! So starting in September, I will be either supplying or be performing in an LTO capacity, something like that. For the time being, Ontario just did release their comprehensive return plan back to school. So elementary school students will be back in school full-time. There will be no minimizing of classroom sizes from what I understand, but there will be extra money put into PPE and things like that, and then high school students will be partially virtual, partially not virtual, and class sizes will be reduced down to 15, I think. So it's going to be an interesting time. There's probably going to be some revisions before all this starts as well, I'm sure. If there's an uptick in cases or if there's a serious downturn in cases, things will be tweaked, things will be changed. It's never 100%. We're still over a month away from when school starts, so it's going to be a long road ahead of us. Thumbs up if you liked the video, and if you really liked the video, please subscribe. And I hope you have a great day, and stay safe, everyone. Bye-bye.